Hi folks, I'm Hector Garcia. I'm a CPA and a QuickBooks consultant. I'm actually completely independent from Intuit and QuickBooks, but I'm a big fan of the software, and if you follow me in my channel, you know I have tons of videos about QuickBooks accounting and related topics. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to use QuickBooks Online, or how does it work, in under 25 minutes. It's kind of a big task because QuickBooks takes a lot longer than 25 minutes to learn, but it should be enough to give you a general idea whether or not it's worth it for you to move to QuickBooks Online or to know how to get started. But the first thing I'm going to recommend is, if you don't have an account yet, is to create an account using my link. So my link is hectorgarcia.com/QB. And once you go to hectorgarcia.com/QB, it will forward you to QuickBooks' purchase page. Now, my link will give you a 30-day free trial, and it will also give you a 50% discount if you sign up for the first year. It's the only link that I know that can do that. So I would definitely recommend that if you're going to get QuickBooks Online anyway. Now, once you get to this page, it will ask you for three choices. Do you want to go with QuickBooks Online Simple Start, which is basically just for invoicing and banking, and to have one user working on QuickBooks simultaneously? Then you have QuickBooks Essentials, which is this middle option that allows you to have 3 users working simultaneously plus 2 accountants. And this will allow you to track invoices, bills, and recurring transactions, which is a really valuable piece of managing your books. And lastly, if you want to track inventory, budgets, job costing, class location tracking, and issue 1099s to contractors, all those features are going to be inside of the Plus edition, which also allows you to have 5 users working simultaneously. So let's go ahead and choose the edition that we're going to go with. Most people go with Essentials, and we'll click on Start Free Trial. Then it's going to ask you to enter an email, phone number, and password, and then click on Sign Up with Email, and then it will create the account and get you started with the setup. Then it's going to ask you for your business name, so Hector Store, and how long you've been in business, 2 years. It lets you know whether or not you need to upgrade from QuickBooks Desktop, and it will take you through the process of doing so if you are coming from QuickBooks Desktop. Let's say I'm not. I'm starting a brand new business in QuickBooks Online, so I'm just going to hit Next. Then I'll ask you for the area of focus. Will it be invoices, bills, tracking inventory, paying employees, etc., etc.? You choose what matters to you. I personally just click All Set and move forward from there. And this is what QuickBooks Online looks like when you first set it up. You're going to see on the left side of the screen, navigation bar. You can click on banking, sales, expenses, and that's going to take you to different areas within the software. Okay, we're going to get there. On the top of the screen, top left, you're going to see the QuickBooks logo. If you click on that, that would not do anything. But if you click on the little icon next to it with the 3 lines, what that would allow you to do is close and open the navigation bar. Only useful if you need more real estate. So get acquainted with that little button there. Opens and close left navigation bar. That comes in really handy. Let's go over to the right side of the screen. We're going to have that Create button. It's a little circle with a plus sign that then turns into an X. When you click on it, a window pops up, or a drop-down menu pops up. It's divided into 4 categories: customers, vendors, employees, and other. Every transaction, or most of the transactions you can create within that group, vendors, customers, employees, and other, they will be in this screen. Customers, everybody you do business with that pays you. So you can invoice them, you can receive payments from them, you can do estimates, you can do a credit memo if you're going to refund something from an invoice. You can do a sales receipt if you want to combine an invoice with a payment. You can do a refund receipt if you want to give them cash back from a credit memo. You can do a delayed credit or a delayed charge if you plan to add items to an invoice later on in the future. Then we got vendors, expenses. This is where we're going to record all of our credit card charges, debit card charges from the bank. Check, that's exactly what it sounds like. It's for you to record the checks that you write through the bank. Bills, this is your accounts payable. This is if I'm going to create an expense that I'm going to pay later in the future. Pay bills, this is to actually pay the bill that I created previously. I can either pay a bill with a check, with a bank debit, or with a credit card. It allows you to do all those. Purchase orders, that's for you to order inventory. You notice that there's a little arrow there letting you know that you need to upgrade to the next version of QuickBooks to be able to do Inventory, that's going to be the plus version. I'll show you how to do that. Vendor credit and credit card credit. So vendor credit is to give a vendor or get a credit from a vendor that you had a bill from previously. Credit card credit would be a refund back to your credit card. And print checks would be when you want to print checks in batch. On the employee side, we have payroll. Notice there's a little up arrow letting you know that you have to upgrade to payroll. Payroll is a separate subscription, normally between $30 and $50 extra a month, depending on the number of employees you have. You can track your timesheets in a single time entry or in a weekly time entry. And then we have the other transactions like bank deposits, transfers, journal entries, and creating statements for your customers, and they're all in that category. If you click on show less, it will significantly reduce the amount of transactions that are there, and I'll just focus on the 4 most common ones, which is invoice, estimates, expenses, and checks. But I usually just click on show more because I actually like to see all my options there. The magnifying glass is basically a search button. You can search within names, transactions, vendors, by date, recent transactions, all those things. The gear button or the settings button, this is where you're going to find all the settings or company file configurations. Let's start with your company. Accountant settings. When you click on that, that will take you to all your company preferences. What can you do here? You can set up your company's legal name, EIN, add your logo. So if you want the logo to show up on invoices, what type of tax form, for example, let's say I am on a corporation. So I'll choose that. And I'll also tell it the industry that I'm in. I'm going to say that I am in retail bakeries, whatever it happens to be. Click on save. I can change my email, my company address, all that stuff. Billing and subscription. This is where I put in my credit card information to pay QuickBooks for the monthly subscription. As I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the video, if you go to QuickBooks50.com, you will get a 50% discount for the first year, and that will show up right there in your billing. You don't need a credit card to get this started, so you can start completely free, and you will have to put the credit card within 30 days unless you're going to lose your data. If you need to upgrade from Essentials to Plus, just click on the upgrade button, and then it'll basically ask you to agree with the upgrade terms and conditions. Just click on upgrade. It'll let you know what the monthly fee is. QuickBooks Plus should be about $50 a month, and you click on submit, and that's it. Okay, I don't have a credit card on file, so this is not going to charge me yet. It's actually that simple. You can upgrade from a lower version to a higher version, but you cannot go backwards. You cannot go down. Let's go to the sales menu. This is where I can customize the look and feel of my invoices. This is what most people start with. They want to make sure that whatever their invoice needs to look like, that gets set up front, because that's how you deal with your customers. I'm going to click on the template so we can see exactly what that looks like. So I can change up the template and choose from 4 or 5 different template options that you see there on the screen. We can change the overall color scheme depending on what your company logo is and that sort of thing. We can change the font. There's not that many choices, but we can change the general font settings. Under the content menu, I can actually edit specific items within my invoice. So if I want to change something in the header, something in the body of the email, if I want to not show my rate, not show my amount, show my SKU number, show my quantity, not show my quantity, show description, show dates, all those things are available for configuration, and you can also move them up and down as your preference. And then when you're done, you can preview the PDF, kind of see what the invoice looks like. Let's say the invoice looks perfect. We're going to go ahead and click on done. And that's it. That's where you go to set up the look and feel of your invoices. Let's go back into our settings again. So we're going to click on the gear menu, accountant settings, go back to sales where we were earlier. You can also change things like your default customer terms, custom fields for unique things having to do with your business that you want to track in your forms. This is where you turn off or on whether you're going to manage inventory or not. This is where you, in the messages side, you can set up the default messages. What would those invoices look like? Or at least the messaging within the email, what would it look like when we send the email to the client? On the expenses side, we can pick and choose whether or not we want to show items in our expenses. I mean, you definitely have to watch some other advanced video to understand that. But default billing terms from vendors, turning off and on purchase orders, which by the way, as of summer of 2017, you can now do partial purchase orders, which is huge, right? Very, very big. We've been asking for that feature forever. So now you can do partial purchase orders, which is awesome. Payments. This is where you can click on learn more, basically fill out your personal and corporate information. You will set up a payments account. You're going to be able to have your customers pay you via a credit card when you invoice them. It is amazing. Advanced, this is where you can set up things like fiscal year. You can close the books, password protect the books. This is where you can turn off and on classes. That allows you to create divisions, cost centers, and you can do some sort of deeper level accounting than just a one-dimension accounting. So you can do accounting through multiple dimensions of your business with this concept of classes and locations. In automation, we can set it so it automatically applies credits to invoices. So if you create a credit memo, you want the credit to automatically go to the oldest invoice. Or we can pre-fill the forms with previously entered content. That means if I wrote a check to Barnes & Nobles for $50 last month and I write it again, it's going to try to copy the same information from the old one, assuming that that stuff will be consistent. That's an option. Turn it off or on. Copy estimates to invoices, a great option. You can turn that on, and then you can create an estimate, and then once the customer approves, you can turn that into an invoice. You can turn off and on time tracking. That way you can have people in the field tracking time, or somebody in the office tracking time, so then you can process payroll. You can turn on multi-currency if you want to track multiple units of currency. You have bank accounts in different parts of the world, and then other preferences like what the numbers look like and all those things. Let me hit cancel and hit done, and we're done with the settings. Okay, so that's a good quick introduction on kind of the general configuration. Let's talk about day-to-day stuff. First thing you want to do is connect your bank. That should be the first thing. So we're going to click on banking, and then I'm going to click on the actual bank that I'm using. So whatever happens to be, Chase, Capital One, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, whatever. I'll click on that and I'll enter all my credentials. And once all your online banking credentials are entered, it will ask you which accounts from your bank would you like to connect into QuickBooks. So you could choose to connect, or you probably should only connect your business accounts, not your personal accounts. So I'm going to go ahead and connect my checking account and my credit card account. So let's say from all the accounts that I have here on the screen, those are the ones that happen to be business. So I'm going to click on connect, wait a few minutes, and then I'm going to see all the transactions come in from the bank into QuickBooks. Now, this is limited to 90 days worth of transactions. So if you need to bring years worth or more than 90 days, I suggest you explore other videos in my YouTube channel that talk about that. There's a specific process to downloading those or converting a PDF bank statement or whatever into QuickBooks. Is a very specific process. So for now, by just doing this, you're only going to get the first 90 days. And there we go. We're connected. I'm going to go ahead and click on review transactions. It's going to ask me, would you like to use the really baby version of this, or would you like to use the professional version of this? Just say, I'm a pro, skip this, and go straight to the professional version of online banking. Why? Because it's just much faster. So how does this work? There's another video on my YouTube channel, by the way, that goes into heavy detail about how online banking works. So I'm just going to go through it quickly. I click on the transaction. Okay. I type my vendor's name. So I'm going to add the vendor into my database. That means in the future, when this shows up again, that's going to be in my database. I'm going to put in the category, meals and entertainment. If I have different divisions, I will select the class. Let's say that's not the case. I have it there under the add button. That means that's going to add it into my bank register. And then I click on add, done. The transaction came from the bank. I give it a category. It's in my bank register. Let's take a look at iTunes. There we go. Let's type iTunes, click on add, create the new vendor. Perfect. Now that's in my database. Let's say this is not meals and entertainment. This is office supplies and software. There we go. I don't have to do anything else. Click on add, done. It's a beautiful thing. Those are the things that came in through my credit card. Let me click on my business banking. We got some deposits. Now deposits I typically don't want to do through online banking. I want to use an entire workflow. That means invoice, receive payment, match it. Okay, so let's go through that. So let's say, for example, that this $2,250 I got, it's actually from an invoice. So let's go ahead and create the invoice where the money would have came from. So I'm going to click on the create button in the top right, go to invoice, and then on the left side of the screen, I'm going to select my customer's name. If my customer is already in my database, that would be part of my list. I can search it. If it's a brand new customer, I hit the drop down menu and click add new. So let's put here great customer. Okay, I'm going to click on save. My customer is in my database. Let's say I gave my customer 15 days to pay, so I put that in the terms. Let's say the invoice was back from July 1st. Perfect. And the product that I sold them, by default, you're going to have hours and sales as a default item in there, but you can create all sorts of products and services, and we'll talk about that briefly for your database, including inventory items. So I'm going to click on hours, and let's say, for example, that I paid $100 an hour for 6 hours. Actually, I'm charging $100 an hour for 5 hours for whatever service that I'm doing. So I can add the description that I want. I can put installation, whatever it happens to be, and then I click on save. Done. My invoice is done. Usually you don't get paid immediately when you invoice. You invoice, email it, checks on the mail. Check gets here. We click on the new transaction button or the create button, and now we click on receive payment. Okay, again, this happened probably on a different day than the day you invoiced, and also in a different day than the day you deposited in the bank. So kind of think back that this happened a couple of times, a couple of days before. So I'm going to select my customer's name. I'm going to select the date in which we received the check. I'm going to go ahead and say, yep, I did get a check from my customer, and I'll put the check number as a reference. That way, if the customer ever asks me, what was the check that I paid you for? There it is. And then I'm going to put here deposit to, put it into the bank, and then I'm going to go ahead and select the invoice and then click on save and new, save and close. Now, before I do that, very important, that's $500, okay? And that's going to go straight to the bank. That may not match the information that came in through the bank. If you noticed earlier, we actually had a payment for $2,250. So we probably got a combination of payments. That's true. So I don't want to take this straight to the bank. What I want to do is I want to send this into an undeposited funds account, which is basically a temporary place where all my customer payments go into before I make the bank deposit. That way I can match multiple checks into a single bank deposit. It'll make a lot of sense when you see the example. So I'm going to click on add new, account type, other current asset, detail type, scroll all the way down, undeposited funds. The name, I'll leave it the same. I don't have to change the name. Hit save and close. Okay, so I'm putting $500 in undeposited funds. I'm going to hit save and close. Let's say, for example, there were 2 checks adding up to that $2,200 in there. So there's another invoice for $1,750 that we're going to create. So I'm going to go to create new invoice. So same example again. So I'm going to put here another customer. Okay, another customer. Make sure I spell that correctly. That would be useful. Add new, save. Invoice date. Select the invoice date that I did it. What was it? What was it that I sold them? I sold them something. How much was it? $1,750. Done. I put my customer's email up here, and I'm going to click save and send so my customer gets it via email. If I enable my payments, just click on this little checkbox. My customer will have the capacity to pay me online, which is amazing. Okay, so we're going to do save and close. Done. Now, next step, we're going to receive that payment. Again, this happened back in the past. I'm going to go to receive payment, select my other customer, and let's say that they didn't pay me with a check, they pay me in cash. No reference number needed because they pay me in cash, but if you happen to have a cash receipt of some sort, you can use that code there. That's fine. Save and close. Perfect. We got 2 customer payments that add up to that $2,250. So now on the online banking, I am going to click on the transaction, click on find match. That will take me into a screen where now I can select the 2 payments that match up that deposit, and now I can make everything harmony. Save. Done. I don't have to create a new transaction from the bank. I just have to match it. Why? Because the deposits have to follow a very specific workflow. Now, there's all sorts of details on bank feeds or downloaded transactions. Check my new YouTube channel for that. There's probably an extensive amount of videos you have to watch before you get this. Okay, we're done with banking. Beautiful. Let's go into sales. That is going to show me a history of all of my customer transactions. There it is, payments, invoice, payment, invoice. Perfect. If I click on invoices, then as you guessed it, I only see my invoices. I can see the status to see whether I've gotten paid on this invoice or not. Awesome. Customers. I get to see my database of customers. I can click on any of these customers and click on the edit button at the top, and I can change their address, contact information, all of that stuff. Perfect. Expenses. Here's a database of all the expenses that I had. They could have been credit card expenses. They could have been bank expenses. They could have been bills. All these things are going to be here, whether they came from the bank or we added them manually. For example, let's say I'm going to create an accounts payable. I'm going to click on the create button and click on bills. I received a bill from Comcast, but I'm going to pay them later on in the future. So I'm going to create the vendor, Comcast, top right, create the vendor, click add. You have to add your vendors to the database. Terms, net 30. Let's say, for example, this is utilities. And this was $219. Damn you, Comcast. Okay. And let's say that the bill date is today's date, and then it's net 15 days. So it tells me exactly when the bill is due. Let me click on save and new so I can create another bill. So let's say, for example, I am going to have a bill from my landlord because I got to pay my rent. So there it is, landlord, terms, due on receipt. My landlord doesn't give me any slack. I got to pay right on the spot. August 1st, account, rent or lease, amount, $2,500. Save and close, done. Both of my bills are there. Now I could have added a bill number as well, but that's okay. Let's say, for example, I want to go back and edit a bill. Let me click on the magnifying glass and see the history of my recent transactions. Let me click on my Comcast bill and put my bill number because I forgot to put a bill number in there. Actually, I can scroll down and right there where it says attachments, I can grab anything from my desktop, click and drag, and then have an attachment. I can add any attachment I want as long as it's an image or PDF to any transaction under 25 megabytes. Great thing to do. Save, done. So I got 2 bills. That's called accounts payable. Okay. When I click on my expenses tab, I'm going to see my expenses and my 2 bills. I can now pay those bills by clicking on the quick create button and click on pay bills, or I can click individually on the bill I want to pay. And on the right side of the screen of this expenses area, I can click on bill payment, and that will take me to the bill payment screen. At that point, I can choose. I'm going to pay with my credit card or my bank. So this should all match up when I download the stuff from the bank and I reconcile. And then I click on save and close, and done. That bill is paid. Let's go to employees. This is the place where when you click on choose plan, you set up your payroll. This video, I'm not going to do that. It takes too long. So if you need that, search for the videos on YouTube. Reports. This is great. I can click on reports, click on profit and loss, and within seconds, I see my financial statement. I got my sales that I sold through my invoices, and I got my expenses. I can choose the range date, so I can do all dates. So I can also see my rent bill for the future that will show up right there and then, and the Comcast bill as well. I can click on any of these and get a detailed report. So it tells me exactly what was in that number. I can also click on that and I can go straight to the transaction. Great, perfect. Taxes, this is where you can set up your sales tax, pay your payroll taxes all at once. Accounting, this is where I can set up my chart of accounts. Click on see chart of accounts, and then I'm going to create a new category. So new, and then I'm going to go into the category expense and the detail type. This is basically just a cheat sheet. It doesn't matter. I can pick anything from here just to kind of help me figure out what I'm doing. Click in there, and let's say I'm going to have software expenses, whatever I want to do. Now, if you don't have an accountant, get one. Your accountant will help you make sure your chart of accounts is awesome. If you're not an accountant or you don't have an accountant, you're going to completely destroy this thing. But that's okay. It's a free country. But you should hire an accountant, someone like me, anyone that has the title Pro Advisor next to it, better yet, Advanced Pro Advisor next to it, better yet, Advanced Pro Advisor CPA next to it, that they can actually help you set this up correctly. Anyway, I got other videos in my YouTube channel that talks about chart of accounts. Maybe you can be self-taught from that perspective. So this is how we create new accounts. We click save and close. From here, we can delete accounts, create new ones. We can even do sub-accounts, and sub-accounts are pretty cool. For example, I got advertising and marketing, but let's say I want to track detailed things about advertising and marketing. So I'm going to scroll up, click new, and then I'm going to create an expense account. So I'm going to click down to expenses, and then I'm going to call this, let's say Google Ads, okay? And then I'm going to make this a sub-account of advertising and marketing, okay? There we go. Okay, I'm going to come down here and click save and new. Let's say I also want to track, let's say, my yellow pages. So I'm going to click up here and type yellow pages. Okay, who uses yellow pages, really? But anyway, so you can, whatever your subcategories are for marketing, put them in there, click a new. And let's say, for example, we're also going to do conferences. So I'm going to type here conferences and then hit sub account and do advertising. And there we go. Save and close. This is awesome because now when I go back into my banking and click on my credit card, let's say, for example, that I find a transaction here that was actually part of my marketing. So let's say, for example, this thing, whatever it is, that happens to be a advertising expense. So now I'm going to type here my vendor's name, add it to my database. Now I can type advertising, and I see all my conferences. So let's say that was a conference, that was a restaurant at a conference, and click on add. Same thing here. Let's say, for example, this Starbucks was also part of a conference that I went to. So I'll copy and paste the vendors' names. I don't have to type. Click on add, and then select here advertising, or I can just type conf, and that should be there as well. Perfect. Save and add. So that's QuickBooks Online in a nutshell. There's a whole bunch of other things you can do. You can add inventory items. You can track your inventory. You can reconcile your bank account. Very important. And basically, I wanted to show you as much of QuickBooks Online in under 25 minutes. It would really take about an 8 to 10 hour video to show you everything about QuickBooks Online. So the idea is to just get you started, get you excited about it, set up a free account. Hopefully you love it. Within 30 days, you put your credit card, use it. Check out my YouTube channel. I'm gonna create a whole bunch of videos this year on QuickBooks Online, but I need to know what you want to see. So click like, click subscribe, and add in the comments what you want to see. Again, hit like, click on subscribe to my channel so you get notifications of the new videos, and down low, tell me what I want to see. Hector, show me how to reconcile. Hector, show me how to do inventory. Hector, show me how to do bill payments. Hector, show me how to print checks. Put it below so I can know what videos to make. Hit like, subscribe to my channel, enjoy QuickBooks Online.